Good morning, everyone. You are watching the chat session on the This Way Network. And I know you're probably wondering, why is she there by herself? Well, I'm not really sure. But I can tell you we were supposed to have Mia Pyle with us today, and Mia is under the weather and she is not able to be here. We're so disappointed, but we're really sad for Mia that she's not feeling well. So please do be praying for her, and we plan to have her back again in March right now. So we have some others lined up for you in between. And I think Rodney is trying to come in right now. I'm so grateful that he's here. So I don't have to do this all by myself, because, it's really hard to just talk when you have to plan something. But I do want to tell you, and thank you, all of you, for being here. Thank you, Jacqueline, for praying for Mia, and Carrie for praying. And AC, we're glad to have you here. So glad to see you all this morning. It's great to be on with you today. So, one thing I wanted to tell you about was a study I just found out about where some scientists gathered a group of women, and with makeup and I don't know what all else, they made some facial scars on their faces, some disfiguration. And they told these women that what they were doing was an experiment. They were going to send them into a job interview, and they were doing an experiment to find out if uh, women experienced any discrimination over facial scarring or facial disfigurement. And they were going to send them out. And as they were walking out the door, the scientists said, "Oh, wait just a minute. We're just going to touch it up just a little bit." And what the women didn't know, they had already seen themselves in the mirror. They had seen themselves with the scarring and so forth. But what they didn't know is that as they were walking out the door, the scientists who were touching it up were actually removing the scarring. So they had no facial
Wow.
disfiguration. But you see, they thought they did. So they go into this interview, and after the interview is over, the scientists are collecting data from them, and all of them said, "Oh, yes, I experienced discrimination because of the facial scarring." There were even comments made by the interviewer that had me thinking, oh, they're referring to the facial disfiguration. So my point is, this is called confirmation bias. When you go into something, and good morning, Rodney, I'm so
Mm.
glad you're here this morning. When you
Yay,
go
good
into
morning, good
something and
morning.
you're already expecting to
Wow.
be discriminated against, or to hear a certain thing, or you're expecting people not to like you, or expecting people to not want to be with you, or, just expecting people to think you're inferior or that you don't belong there, then when you get there, that's exactly what you will experience, whether it happened or not, because everything you see seems to confirm to you what you're already thinking. Isn't that
Wow.
interesting, Rodney?
I was just listening to your commentary. And one of the things about me I've always have realized, and thank goodness I realized it early on in life, everybody's not going to love you. For some just for
Mhm.
some doggone reason, everybody's not going to love you. Everybody's not going to be nice to you. And I realized that people are personally carrying their own big huge problems. You know what I mean?
True.
They're carrying their own issues. They're carrying their own insecurities, their own
Hmm.
failures a lot of times. And so you can only expect so much from people because and when you run across a person, there's certain people who just love you. They'll just eat you
Hmm.
up like a biscuit
Yeah.
with butter and honey, and oh man, they just eat you up. Then there are other people who, they look down upon you. They always try to be in competition with your work ethic or whatever.
Hmm.
I just believe that I honestly through my walk with Christ. I've always believed that life is going to be a roller coaster. Because if
Mhm.
everything was just predictable, if we were just blessed people and the Lord said, you know what? You gave your life to me, you ain't got to worry about nothing. Everything would just be so vanilla. It would just
Mhm.
be so, but I think the problems of life, issues and things that keeps us really engaged. The Lord knows whenever, and it's really hard. A lot of people have talked about this. When you're doing really well, financially sound, everything's going great. Do we really lean on God? Do we really pray? Do we really
Mhm.
have the
Yeah.
faith
No, we don't.
stretching kind of
Yeah, we're
moment
having a
when a
little
lot of
problems with
people,
your feed right there for a minute, Rodney. You were kind of
okay,
slowing down and glitching. So you
can
might
you
want to
hear me
repeat
now?
that last sentence. Yes, you
I
might want to
I
repeat
was
that last
saying
sentence.
I was saying a lot of people who are very, very uber successful, when people have a lot of money in the bank, everything's going great, do they really lean on their faith? Do they take that time and say, Lord, I need you to, Lord, I'm asking that you bless me with this thing, and really staying engaged? I really believe the Lord, knowing all as he always does, he understands us more than our own human nature. He
Mhm.
understands our sin nature. And so to keep things a little fun, he has to kind of keep us engaged, and he will keep us engaged through many, many incredible ways.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
even if it's just by having a thorn in your side, where you got to
Mhm.
pray and say, man, what did I do to this person? Why does this person dislike me so much? Lord, Lord, can you deal with this person? Just that alone keeps us engaged in the Lord. And I really
Mhm.
believe that um the older I get, the more I start to understand that, man, every day is a walk. Every day is, you really do need to start your morning out in prayer. And you really do
Mhm.
need to pray throughout the day. And you really do need to correct your mind and keep yourself engaged. And at the end of the night, recap, Lord, man,
Mhm.
I saw that car swerve on the freeway. Man, that could have been me. I saw that
Mhm.
person stranded, or and every time I see an ambulance going down the street, I'm thinking, Lord, somebody needs help right now,
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
that ambulance could have been coming from me. So I think, I thank God that I'm like, Lord, please help that thing. Whoever's in distress, Lord, help them get
Mhm.
get the help that they need. Because when you need help, you need help. And
Mhm.
so
You know,
beyond just,
you're yeah,
yeah.
I was just gonna say you are so right about that,
Mhm.
Rodney, that,
Right.
we really we're dependent on God
All
all
the
the
time.
time,
Mhm.
because we couldn't breathe without him.
Mhm.
Our heart wouldn't be beating without him,
Mhm.
everything about our lives. We
That's
none
true.
of us would have food or, the necessities if it weren't for the fact that God had provided the resources for that, period. So we
Exactly.
all need him, but it's not until we're in some kind of adversity or going through some kind of problems
Mhm.
that we're
Mhm.
aware of how
That's
much
right.
we need him and that we appreciate the fact that he's there even more.
Yep.
But
That's
God,
true.
I don't think God does this just so that we'll appreciate him better.
No.
I
Right, right,
think
right.
that a large part of it has to do with the fact that when we appreciate him more, when we come to understand,
We
we
grow more.
see things, we grow more. We see things in God's
Mhm.
character that we wouldn't have seen before,
That's
and
right.
we become more confident toward
Mhm.
God and
That's
more
right.
confident in the world, knowing, oh, God has got this. I can count on him.
And Nina, and it's also, if you really, really paying if you're paying attention, it is very, very cut and dry. It's not hard to figure out. When you look at a person, you hear a person talking to you, and you're like, boy, this person needs Christ. this person
Mhm.
this person really needs some spiritual, understand it because they are
Mhm.
so far off and they're so caught up in their emotions and they're talking about things that,
Mhm.
and you're like, um, you don't think God's got this? You did have you taken this to the
Mhm.
Lord in prayer?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, it seems like you're trying to manhandle or woman handle all of this. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you can't. I was telling a friend of mine, I said, you know what? I only worry about things that I physically, can do. I'm like, did you do enough, Rodney? No. Did you watch your diet? These are the type of things that I'm concerned about. That stuff that I know that I can do, but things that are happening in the minutia of the world, something going on in
Mhm.
in a part of the city. I'm like, Lord, you've got to handle this. I have no power, no political power, no financial power, no influence over this situation. I have none. So that's when we have to keep taking things to the Lord in prayer.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
do, so you can't worry about, some people say, "Oh, you know, I had this relationship and it ended." And some people have such hard times letting go. I'm like, I told a friend of mine, and I look at my own self. I said, "You know what? Thinking about relationships in the past, I said, maybe." And I'm like, you know what, Rodney? It seems that the Lord had something to do with that. I said, it seemed really lollipops and gumdrops and everything, but there was a reason. So there's some reason that you will, when you get to heaven, you'll say, Lord, can you tell me, can you tell me why that didn't work out? He sort of said,
Yeah.
my son, this is why. And I'm going to be like, oh, no. It's that type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. So much we still don't know, and I think we would think differently if we did know so many of those things. But you know what I was thinking about with that confirmation bias,
Right.
where if we believe that we're going to encounter negative things, then
Hmm.
that's what we find, whether it's
Right.
there or not, we find it because that's what we're looking for. What if
Yeah.
we were doing the opposite? What if we went into situations believing that we're going to see positive things, believing that we're going to see God work? Because I guarantee you, He is working all the time in our lives, and we're just not aware. We're just not noticing. So, what if we got up every day saying, I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing today, God? I can't wait to see you work
That's
today.
right.
How much would we notice that we're not noticing now?
You're absolutely right. And we can look for that all the time. All the time we can expect
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because he is
Mhm.
working all the time, and not just in other people's lives, in our lives too, you know? There's so many ways that he can speak to us. So often we find ourselves saying, I just don't hear God talk to me like other people do, but I guarantee you God is speaking every day, every
If you
single
just look,
day to you.
if that's right, individually, and so a lot of
Mhm,
times when I pray, I put my name and I put me. I'm like, Lord, help me,
mhm.
and help
Right.
these other people. And you call these other people out by names or these other situations out by name or by purpose. That's what it's
Mhm.
all about.
Yeah. Have you ever, walked outside along about dusk and you see this glorious sunset, and maybe you've had a hard day and that sunset is just so uplifting,
Mm-hmm.
and you find yourself just so drawn to it, and oh, that's just so beautiful, and all your troubles melt away, at least for those few moments you're watching the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the sunset is over, we walk away and we say, well, I didn't see God talk to me today.
Nina,
you know
sometimes Nina, sometimes I don't I believe the Lord is not one to do a whole bunch of talking. He shows you. You can
Mm-hmm.
look around. If you look around, there's no way you can say that I don't get it or I don't see the Lord's work.
Yeah, yeah. There was one time, Rodney, when I don't even remember what my situation was. I just remember feeling so terribly overwhelmed and so much like I don't see any way out of the situation that I'm in. I don't see it getting better in the near future or even in the extended future. I don't know what to do. I mean, the whole picture just looked so bleak. And I went outside and the wind was blowing, and I always love a good breeze. I just love the way it feels, you know. So I was enjoying that a little bit, but I was thinking about this situation and all these problems, and I thought, God, and I was praying and I said, God, I just don't know how you're going to handle this. I just don't see a way for you to, you know, get me through this or work this out or whatever. And then I began to notice with that wind, there were all these clouds going by in the sky at
Mhm.
different speeds, you know, because there was like streams of wind in one place. So the clouds there were going really fast. And then there were
Mhm.
clouds beyond them that were moving more slowly.
Mhm.
And at the same time, there were these birds around, and I was hearing birds singing. And I looked, and there were blooming, it was spring, and there were some daffodils blooming, and they were waving in the breeze. And, you know, it was
Mhm.
all of it together was just so, so beautiful. And all
Right.
of a sudden, the thought comes to my mind, and I knew this was God, you know,
Showing
bringing
you.
this thought to my mind, right? And he said, I knew and you would be coming out here. And I
Right.
orchestrated all of this. I brought that wind at just the right time. I put those clouds in place and formed them in just the right way. I had those daffodils growing up at just the right moment.
Mhm.
All of that before you even knew you were going to be stepping out here.
That's
I
right.
knew what you were going to need, and I orchestrated all of this and brought it together. And suddenly then I knew, oh my goodness, he is more than capable of taking care of this situation that I find so overwhelming and that I didn't see a way out of, and I didn't think he'd ever find a way out of either.
And you know the funny thing about this, Nina, life is very comical. I mean, I try to find as much humor in everything.
Mhm,
Just what you said, I know that life, like we are actually living life in a delay because the Lord's already
mhm,
there. He already knows exactly it's already fixed. So
mhm,
when a curveball comes or something happens, and I say to myself, I go, Rodney, now that situation, that comment, that snippy little thing, I said, the Lord knew that was coming. Now it's up to you to decide at this exact moment how you're going to react to it.
mhm,
And sometimes, I mean, I'll tell people, when I hear something crazy come out of somebody's mouth or whatever, you just got to say, no, you don't say, no, no, you don't. I'm not going, no, no. You tried to be slick. No,
almost
no,
got me.
no.
Yeah.
You almost got me, but you didn't. And
Mhm,
boy, I'm gonna tell you that feels good. It really feels good when you can sidestep, and that is really what life is all about. Sidestepping the devil's
mhm,
little tricks and his little schemes and stuff like that. And even when there are challenges and stuff like that, the Lord has built in us everything we need to get through it. I don't care if
mhm,
it's a health issue, job failure, relationship, whatever it is, the Lord already knows. Now, look, you got this. You
mhm,
got this. If you just lean on your faith, you lean on the word, you got this. You're going to get through it. So I'm always thinking, Rodney, you got in your tool belt to get through anything.
mhm,
And I'm thinking, anything? I'm like, anything. I'm like, so that what gives me the confidence to know that the Lord we serve is really there to advocate.
yeah.
When you see the word and it says, you know, Jesus is sitting at the right hand of the Father,
Mhm,
advocating. I'm
mhm,
like, whew, can you
mhm,
imagine? Hey, listen, Roddy didn't mean to do that. Roddy's having a bad day, but I'm
mhm.
telling you, he's got this. Can you imagine that? I mean, you just think about that having that type of you know advocate on your side that's
Mhm,
buying for you and really
mhm,
pulling
mhm.
for you. So
Who has,
I mean,
as
here's
you said,
yeah,
already put into you everything you need already.
yeah, right,
And I think sometimes our problem is that it's like, oh, God's given me this toolbox and I've got every tool I need in it. And Lord, I anticipate needing this certain one and I can't find it. I don't see it
Mhm.
in there. I don't feel it. I don't, and we think
Keep your
God,
toolbox keep your toolbox organized. That's why we gotta stay in prayer. That's why when you're just like anybody, a carpenter, think about that. The Lord was a carpenter. Did he keep his tools organized or was it all scattered? Where's my saw at? And he's got to sit around and
Mhm,
figure. No, he so when I think about organization, life organization, mental organization, spiritual organization, the hierarchy, the Lord
mhm,
first, everything else second. A lot of times people they miscategorize stuff. Oh, they put
mhm,
family above the Lord. They put a job above the Lord. Oh no, no, no. He is first. Everything else
mhm.
falls under that. Once you kind of got that mindset and you lock in, you got it.
You know, I kind of think what you're saying, I mean, I see what you're saying and I do
Mhm.
agree, but uh, in my own life, the way I kind of picture it is
Mhm.
it's more like God has put me almost like I'm a surgeon, like God has put me
Mm.
in the operating room and
That's
he
right.
said, "Okay, you've got this issue, you're going to have to fix it." And I'm like, I I don't know what to do. And God's saying, "No, I'm going to talk you through everything." But God, I don't have the tools. And he said, "Just stick out your hand and I'll place the tool you need in it from your own toolbox."
That's right.
It's already there. And just
That's right.
because you can't see it, you can't find it at the moment, doesn't mean it isn't there because it will
That's right.
be when you need it and exactly when you
Mhm.
need it. And you don't have to worry about it before then. Because
That's
even
right.
if you don't know where it is, God does. And He's going
That's
to give it
beautiful.
to you when you need it.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
I
But
love
I but
that.
again, staying organized and always and leaning and being confident that what's in this toolbox is going to get me through this life. It's going to give me
Mhm,
joy, peace, happiness, strength. It's going to give me
mhm,
everything, good health, and whatever is in that toolbox to bandage you. And again, a good mechanic keeps band-aids around.
mhm,
A good
mhm,
carpenter keeps, hey, sometimes you might need to take that tweezer and get that
mhm,
splinter out.
mhm,
It's good I'm telling you, I literally have kept a pair of tweezers in my toolbox because sometimes
mhm.
you'll get a little metal something and you're like, man,
Oh,
and this
yeah, that really hurts too.
man, it
But you know
hurt.
what, Rodney?
Hmm.
How often have those tweezers not only helped you, but helped someone else who didn't seem to have tweezers? And
That's
that's
right.
the other part of this whole thing is that God
Hmm.
puts us in community with each other. And that's part of the reason we go through trials and problems as well, is because that is when we connect with each other in
That's
that
right.
moment of need.
That's right.
There is never a moment, I don't think, where we have um,
Hmm.
more empathy, more
Right.
sympathy, more connection with each
Hmm.
other than in those struggles.
And we are also equipped, like you said. Sometimes this isn't about us. Sometimes life
Mhm,
is okay. Things are in the balance. Everything's flowing right along. Then there's
mhm,
someone else who comes to you.
mhm,
You could turn a blind eye to it. You could say, "Well, I look, I'm caught up in my own world." But when you give, that help, that assistance, that motivation to someone else, now we're doing
mhm.
the Lord's work too, because we're assisting. Because it's sometimes I go, you know what, Rodney, there's a lot of people out here that person could have came to. Loads of love from India. Oh, okay, thank you, Rachel, appreciate that. We love from all around the world. And again, you are watching the chat session here on the This Way Network. I'm here with Nina, and I do want to recognize AC Cruz and Jacqueline. Thank you for some of your great comments. You're always here. Carrie,
And
thank you so much.
Shaylee, thank
Yeah,
you. Yeah,
yeah,
we're so glad you're here with us.
yeah. The key thing is being motivated, but like you're saying, um, Nina, that's really important when we have enough in our tool belt, and we also have to remember we do have enough to be able to help. The Lord has given
Mhm.
us more than just he didn't he's not stingy on blessings. He's not
No.
stingy on love and hope. We've got so
Mhm.
much in our tool bag is all that we need and some, so that we
Mhm.
can pass on some to someone
Mhm.
else. So don't forget, in your tool bag, there's love, there's help, there's understanding, there's
Mhm.
prayer. Sometimes people will come to you, and if you're quick, hey, you can put a prayer on them and say, "Hey, I understand, man. That's a tough time. Been there or been through something like that, or I know somebody who's been through something like that. Can I pray for you? Would you mind that?" Man, that's a good feeling when you can pray for somebody and they go, "Whew, man, I needed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I really
And a
needed."
wonderful feeling when someone offers to pray for you too.
Right. And
You know?
Nita, have you ever had anybody on a day that you really needed prayer? I mean, you had something heavy on your mind. You
Mhm.
don't know this person from Adam, and this person says,
Mhm.
"Oh God, I'm getting all these messages," and all of a sudden, people say, I can I pray for you?" I'm like, the Lord knew I needed this. The Lord
Mhm.
sent
Mhm.
me somebody here in the moment to give me what I needed. And I'm like, this is great. Why in the world am I getting all these messages all of a sudden? This is the
I don't know,
craziest
you're
thing.
just
Right.
terribly popular all of a sudden. Wow.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Praise the Lord. Anyway, but the key thing is it really is something that when someone prays for you and you didn't ask for it, they had no clue what you were going through, and all of a sudden they say,
Mhm.
"Can I pray for you?" Man, I'm gonna tell you, you go, the Lord hurt, the Lord
Mhm.
knows what I'm going through. The Lord knew what was on my mind right now, and the Lord
Mhm.
sent me, and I received that. I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
you can. Yes, you
Yeah.
can. Anytime someone asks, can I pray for you? I'm like, and if you feel that they've got that connection, man,
Mhm.
I tell you, it's a good thing. You and oftentimes you don't want to turn down any prayer at all, but it's always a
No.
blessing to get it,
No, not a bit.
Yeah.
But it's more than just that, even sometimes just sharing
Mm-hmm.
information, because you have
Mm-hmm.
no idea what some people are out there praying for. They're praying for answers
Right.
to some things that they don't have answers
That's
for, and
right.
they don't know where to look, and they haven't been able to find it. And maybe you have that answer, and maybe you don't even know they've been looking
You're absolutely
until
right.
you
You're
share the
absolutely right.
information and you hear them say, "Oh my
Mm-hmm.
goodness, I've been looking for this. This is the very thing I needed. I've been praying for this. This is an answer to my prayer." And I know I can think of several times that happened in my life, but I'm just going to give you one example really quick. So I had had
My,
a rash on my hands for 25 years, a really itchy, terrible rash. My hands would crack and bleed, and they would itch like crazy, and I had no idea what was causing it. I had been to the doctor. They'd given me a steroid cream. They said, "Yeah, you're allergic to something. You'll probably never find out what. Here's a
right.
steroid cream." But the steroid cream didn't make it go away. It just made it semi-bearable. So for 25 years, I suffered with it, and
Did
after
any money
25
come in?
years,
Did any money come your way?
did any money
I
come
would
my
say,
way?
did any money? They a lot of times they say, "Oh, my hands itching. I'm getting some money." My hands itch too, and
No,
sometimes the
no,
money just did not come.
I don't
That's
remember
why
that
I
much
don't
money
believe in
coming
those
my
type
way,
of
but
things.
yeah, anyway, but I had been there had been a certain week when it had been really, really unbearable, and I'd been praying and saying,
Mm.
"God, will you please show me what is causing this?" And
Mhm.
then all in one day, I had 3 different witnesses who did not know each other.
Mhm.
All of them made a point of speaking to me about milk allergies. And the
Wow.
first one, yeah, the first one was the optometrist I went to. I was looking to see, this was like, I don't know, now it's probably been 25 years ago. I was looking to
Mhm.
see if I needed glasses because at the time I
Mhm.
wasn't wearing them. But, I got to that
Mhm.
place where my arms are too short now. I can't
Yeah.
read, you know. So, so he's examining my eyes, and while he's examining my eyes, he says, "Do you have a milk allergy?" And I said, uh, no. And I'm thinking, I've never had the eye
Mm,
doctor ask me this before. So I
wow.
asked him, well, why are you asking me? And he said, because I see a lot of mucus in your tear ducts. And I usually only see that in patients that have a milk allergy.
Wow.
Well,
A milk
I was thinking, well, that's not me. I don't have a milk allergy. There must be some
mhm,
other cause for it. I get home and there's two messages on my answering machine. This tells you how long ago that was, back when we had
mhm,
answering machines. And
yeah,
excuse me, I called the first one back. It's a friend of mine, and
mhm,
he said, I thought you said I could call you today. And I said, yeah, forgot I had this optometrist appointment. I'm so
mhm.
sorry that I wasn't here. And he said, oh, what did he say? Do you need glasses? And I said, no, but he asked me about a milk allergy. He said, oh my goodness. He said, I'm taking a biology course at the local college. We are actually
Wow,
studying about milk allergies right now and the
wow.
difference between that and lactose intolerance. And he starts telling me all
Mhm,
these things. And there's
mhm.
a lot of it that's sounding, very familiar to me. But again, I'm thinking, but that's not me. So I
Right.
called back the second person, and it was a
Mhm.
mom in our homeschool group. And she said, I hope you won't think I'm being forward, but I just wanted to tell you that I've noticed the same symptom in your sons that I notice in my son when he's having an
Wow,
attack of his milk allergy. Now, this is three times in
wow.
one day someone's talking to me about milk allergy. And I said,
Mhm.
so what symptom is that? And she said, bright red ears. Well, we had noticed that in both of my sons. Their ears would just turn flame red for seemingly no reason.
Wow.
And,
That
so when she said that, I really sat up and listened, and I said, "Well, what other symptoms could you have?"
hmm.
She said, "Well, you can have mild asthma." Well, my oldest son had just that week been diagnosed with mild asthma and given an inhaler. And she
Wow.
said, "You can have chronic sinus drainage." And I thought, "Hello, that's me." And
Mhm.
and now my sons, they've been starting to complain about, their sinuses draining all the time. And
Uh-huh.
she said, "And you can have a rash." And I really sat up then
Mm.
and I said, "What kind of rash?" And
Wow.
described my rash to me. She'd never seen it, but she described it perfectly.
Wow.
And as soon as I hung up off the phone, I thought,
Mhm.
I've had 3 witnesses in one day
Mhm.
talking to me about the possibility that I have, and maybe even my kids have, a milk
Mhm.
allergy. So I
That's
got
right.
off the milk that day. I stopped anything with milk that day. And within
Hmm.
3 days, my rash was gone completely. I'd had it for
Wow.
25 years nonstop, and in 3 days, it was gone completely because somebody took the time to come and tell me. And the reason I think they took the time to come and tell me is because I had
Mhm.
been praying, asking for the answer, and God brought them into my life to do that, to give me that answer.
Mhm.
And
That's
that's just one
wonderful.
example. I could tell you many more that
That's
sound
gr
just like that.
those confirmations like that, they're un you can't, you know, debate them because what are the odds? I mean, that's a lot. And I've had several things like that, several confirmations. Funny how we never hear something and then after 3 times a day, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Some
hear it 3 times in a
yeah,
day. Yeah, and you're
it is
right.
amazing.
You're right. It is,
Though
but that's how God works. I mean, that
mhm,
told me, for one thing, oh my, God heard
mhm,
me. He heard me and he answered me. Now, nothing makes you feel more cared for than knowing you've been heard
right.
and that it mattered to somebody what you were going through, and
Again
especially when it's God.
again, and Nina, when you say, Lord, you know, give me that opportunity to grow and to be able to help somebody, and you're saying these certain things, and you ask for the Lord to use you in a
Mhm,
way, to just allow you to be whatever He wants you to be. And the most incredible thing is when you do that, and then somewhere during the day you get a chance to exercise your faith or to share something good with
mhm,
somebody. You know what I mean? That
mhm,
is that's amazing. I mean, that
mhm,
really, really is amazing to um have that opportunity to be able to just help somebody in need, even
Mhm.
if it's just to share your walk and talk with
Mhm.
somebody, that means a lot. It really
Or
means
even
a lot.
just to share a smile, you know? I
Mhm.
think sometimes
You're
we
absolutely
think
right.
yeah, I think sometimes we think that, we'll know it when God is using us, you know?
Mhm.
That we
That's
will
right.
have, purposefully tried to be useful and make it happen, and
Right.
that there are other times where, like, God, lead me into a situation and, bring me to it, and
Mhm.
then we have one and we're like, "Oh, well, I know God used me then," or I get a response from someone, "I know God used me." But how many
Mhm.
times in your own life can you think of that someone did something and maybe
Mhm.
they didn't even know they were doing it? Maybe they smiled at you or handed you something or gave you something or,
Mhm.
just spoke a word to you, and
That's
then they
right.
were on their way, and you never got their name, you don't know who they are, and you never told them how much it meant to you, but it meant the world to
Mhm.
you, and
Right.
and you knew, "God
Wow.
sent that person to me," but you know what? That person doesn't know that God was using them,
That's
and I
right.
think that God does that over
That's
and
right.
over and over again. I think he uses you that way, Rodney, because I do believe that you're
Mhm.
with you just being who you
Mm.
are, that God uses you continually because you are always bringing light and, positivity and a smile and,
Wow.
graciousness to people, and just by being
I
who
try
you are.
honestly,
Mhm.
Nina, honestly, I do my best to try to always know that people need people. I mean, we all need each other. Just like we all need uh, a friend. Sometimes it just need to be if you can just pause for just a couple of minutes. Somebody's going to start talking to you something.
Mhm.
All my life, it has been the strangest thing. I mean, sometimes, and I know that this is God, this is the Lord. Ever since I was in like elementary school,
Mhm.
for some strange reason, there's a whole room full of people. I mean, a whole classroom full of people. I used to have classmates that would talk to me about issues. This is a true story. I got a progress report that came home one day, and it says Rodney is passing notes in class. And my mom was like, "Why are you passing notes in class?" I said, "Mom, I need to explain." And my mom said, "Rodney, how come you're not paying attention?" I said, "I am paying attention." I said, "But people are passing me notes." She goes, "Who's passing you notes?" I said, "Can I explain?" My mom said, "Okay, go ahead. You got one chance." And so I said, "Mom, I had nothing to do with this. I did not tell them to do this." And my mom was just sitting there listening to me with this scowl on her face. And I said, "This person was telling me about some problems that they were having at home."
Mhm.
And my mom just sat there and listened. And I said, "They were asking my opinion on how I should handle it." And my mom said, "Rodney, you're a child. They're a child. Why they consulting you?" I said, "Mama, I don't know. I have
Mhm.
no clue why they are asking." And my mom said, "Okay, Rodney, do this. Tell them don't pass notes to you in class. Hand them to you after class." My mom didn't come down on me like a ton of bricks, but she told me, she
Mhm.
said, "Just don't do it." And I realized that she even had that understanding. And she says, "Rodney, yeah, I understand. We all," she said, "all your life, you're going to have people with problems and things like that." And she said, "There's a time and a place for everything." So, that even helped me understand. But all my life, I'm telling you, I could be standing on the street corner waiting on the traffic light, and there's four or five other people, and one person will just key in on me and just start talking to me and start talking about
Mhm.
something really heavy
Mhm.
about what they're going through. And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Why are you telling me this? Why are you telling? There are other people here." And matter of fact, I gotta go. I'm trying to cross the street and I got an appointment to get to. I have literally been late getting
Mhm.
places because I'm like, "Wow." And, "Can I talk to you a little?" And I mean, literally, we'll walk across the street talking to you. I'm like, "Why? do I look like a therapist? I'm like looking around, like, why are you telling me this? And I'm like, okay, Rodney. And and it always says, be aware, we may be we may be dealing with angels. You see what
Mhm.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
So a lot
Mhm.
of times people blow off other people. Oh, hey man, I ain't got time to talk to you. Hey man, I wish you all the best. You know what? That could have been an angel.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
sometimes, and I'm telling you, I have had so many situations in my life where I, I said, Rodney, you're running late. Personally,
Mhm.
you've got something to
Mhm.
do. But I got more out of it for me than this person that was talking to me. And you know what? Never seen him again. Never spoke to
Mhm.
him again. Never seen him again. And sometimes you kind of wonder, was that an angel? Was that an angel?
Yeah. Yeah. Possibility. Possibility. I do think though for those occasions when it hasn't been an angel, you
Mhm.
you radiate kindness and
Mm.
caring. And I think that's the reason some total strangers they get that vibe from you and they are just drawn to you and say this is somebody, and sometimes you don't want to tell
Right.
people what you're going through because
Mhm.
maybe you don't trust the people to keep it to themselves, or you don't trust them
Mhm.
not to not to make fun of you,
Right,
or
right.
use the information against you or something, so maybe you feel that isolated. So telling a stranger looks very attractive, and you feel like, I need to tell someone. I need someone to bear this burden with me, even if only for a few minutes. And because
Right.
you radiate that kindness and that warmth, people are drawn to you like that. I do want to mention something. Where was that? I'm looking for it again. And I put it up on the screen a minute ago. We had been talking about when God uses you, God sends you. And Carrie says twice, and I blew it both times. I want to say
Yeah.
something about that. Um, oh, and now Carrie's saying, maybe I didn't blow it. Maybe I was being protected. And that's true,
There you
you know.
go.
So I want everybody to understand one thing, and that is
Mhm.
that um, those occasions when you feel like, I wonder if I should have done something, if I should have said something, if I should have stuck around instead of saying, no, I'll be late to my appointment, I got to keep going, or whatever. And then we think later, oh, I think maybe I blew it, like I shouldn't have done it.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is, God's purposes are never thwarted. Whether
That's
you
right.
participate or not, God is still going to have accomplished what he meant to be accomplished. He can send someone else. He can, get them the help they need or bring them the information they need or whatever, some other way. The
Mhm.
only thing that happens if you really did blow it is that
Mhm.
you didn't get to participate in it. And he wanted that blessing
Ooh.
for you.
Right.
But that doesn't mean he's not gonna like, you've blown it forever. Well, that's it. That was your only chance to get that blessing.
No.
You'll never be blessed that way again. No, God sees that and he's like, okay, okay, but we're gonna bring you back around to this, and I'm gonna keep giving you chances and keep giving you more opportunities because
Mhm.
I want to be in fellowship with you.
Yeah.
And that is the way we be in fellowship, when
That's
you
right.
are with me side by side, working with me
That's
and
beautiful.
letting me direct what you're doing. So it's not
Mhm.
hopeless, and don't ever feel like I blew it. No, you didn't. God is
Yeah.
going to bring that back around and give you the opportunity again, and you're going to get a chance to work with Him again. And
Mhm.
those will never end.
That that's a wonderful thing. And when you think of, even, and Carrie says, many years later he gets it now. But the thing about this is, um, we never, we always blow it. Sometimes we blow it and we get it right,
Mhm.
and but that's the grace and the blessing of God, that, you know, even when you do fumble, you're still in the
Mhm.
game.
Mhm.
Remember that. You're
Yeah.
still in the game.
Yeah.
You can fumble, but you're still in the game. So pick it. Hey, get ready.
Mhm.
Get a grip on yourself. Remember how you could have done it better. And next time when that opportunity is
Mhm.
presented to you, you'll be ready and you don't want to
Yeah.
fumble. So,
And,
yeah.
another thing too, just because we see a need
Hmm.
doesn't mean that God means for us to do something about it.
That's right. That's right.
Because we see lots of needs in the world and we
Hmm.
can't take care of all of them.
No, no.
So, and if we tried to, we would be spread so thin and be so ineffective in so many areas.
Right,
But
right.
instead, God tends to give us each particular needs that He
Hmm.
impresses on us, lays on our hearts, puts us in a certain place where we feel like I can't
Hmm.
turn my face away from this. I can't not do something about this, and
Right.
that is God bringing us to it. But all those other needs that we see too, and we feel badly because we can't address those
Hmm.
needs. We need to let God carry those and recognize that He calls somebody else to those needs.
Hmm.
And the reason we even see them, that He even opens our eyes to them, is because we can support them in
Hmm.
prayer,
Right. That's right.
and in helping spread the word maybe, but we don't have to worry about, that's not our lane. Our lane is the
Right.
one that God has given us, and we want to do what God has called us to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And and there is power in prayer. And a lot of times and sometimes that you might see something again. You might see something or
Mhm.
hear something and not even get engaged in the conversation. I've heard things going on, some two people talking, and I said, "Whoa, boy, that person needs some prayer." And I'm like, Lord, did you just hear what that person said? That person needs prayer. Don't look at them. Don't
Mhm.
lean all into the conversation. But you'll hear a person and you know that they really need the Lord. And hey, that's an opportunity to shoot. I might be
Mhm.
going this direction, walking away from them, but I'm praying, Lord, did you
Mhm.
hear that? This person needs you, Lord. You wanted me to hear that. Apparently, you put me here at that time for me to learn something. And Lord, I learned it. I heard exactly what they said. And
True.
Lord, I'm asking for you to pray for that person. Please go take care of that because I know you can. I
Mhm.
know you can.
Mhm.
Because some things are not, it's too heavy for us to lift. Some things are just like, and that's why we can take it to the Lord in prayer. We can pray anytime,
Mhm.
anywhere, driving down the highway. You could be on the job. You could be at school. Anytime you feel that you need to pray to the Lord, the hotline is always open. All you got to do is pick
Yeah.
up the phone and be like, hey, Lord, listen, I got to talk to you. Got a moment? Yep, got a moment. Always do. I got all
Yeah.
moments. I got all time in my hands.
Mhm.
Rodney, talk to me. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's what He wants. That He wants that running conversation with us,
hmm.
back and
Yep.
forth, you know?
Yeah.
And because we tend to pray so little sometimes, or when we do, we never spend time listening. We're just telling God, well, here's what I
Right.
need, here's what my
Yeah.
troubles are, etc.
Mhm.
But God says, call unto me, and I will answer you and show
Mhm.
you great
Mhm.
and mighty things that you do
Mhm.
not know.
And praise. The Lord loves praise.
Mhm.
And if you can just thank the Lord for, a lot of times I tell people, they'll start talking to me and they'll say something like, oh, this is going wrong. And I'm like, but let me tell you something. I said, you got a whole lot going right. So be thankful
Mhm.
about that. And I have to tell you, it could be worse. Remember that. It could be a lot worse. And when you
Pretty
start
much
thinking,
always. Yeah.
yeah, and when you start thinking about that, you look at your own life and you go, I really am thankful. I really am thankful because when you hear some of the burdens and some of the things that some people have, and you just go, how blessed I am.
Mhm.
You really have to be thankful for those little things. You get up and maybe you're a little sore. I got this new position that I'm doing, and there's some physical elements to it. And I'm like, man, the old bird ain't what he used to be. But I started thinking, I said, but not bad. I'm like, getting a little when you
Mhm.
feel that soreness, I'm like, yeah, but hey, that's a good workout. So It's
Oh,
not
and
that.
you know what, Rodney? I just read this the other day. I thought this was so
Mhm,
fascinating. This is how fearfully and wonderfully God has made us.
mhm,
They did some research, and one of the things they discovered is that every time our muscles contract, whatever muscles they
mhm,
are, every time they contract, it's like God has built a little pharmacy into us. And when
mhm,
those muscles contract,
mhm.
they are literally shooting happy hormones into our bodies, making and shooting those happy hormones into our bodies. So that, yeah,
Wow.
so that by the very movement we do, our mood is elevated, our, any depression we're having is lifted somewhat. Can you imagine if
Mm.
we all understood that, oh, it's within my power, if I'm feeling down or whatever, it's within my power to get up and start moving and actually do something about the
Yeah.
way I'm feeling. And that it
Yeah,
is that simple that I can just
yeah.
get up and do something to contract my muscles and, I'm going to end up feeling better. It may not feel perfect. And
Mhm,
maybe I've been not contracting my muscles for so long that it's going to take a while for me to, see any huge effects. But oh
mhm.
my goodness, that is
That's
so
right.
amazing to think that God has made us this way. When you said that before about
Mhm.
God has already put all the tools there in our toolbox, it's not just spiritually. He's done the same thing with us physically.
That's right.
Did you
Well,
know
we are
in our
it says we are perfectly and wonderfully made.
yes,
And a lot of
yeah.
times people are always trying to you were talking about looks and all this other stuff. Me personally, I said, "You know what, Rodney? The you know what my mom said? My mom used to say, Rodney, you're no more than anybody else, and you're no less either. So that
Mhm,
keeps it even keel. A lot of times people they're so concerned about what people think about them and their
mm,
looks, and they're going. I'm like, I tell people all the time, there is someone out here for everyone,
mhm,
no matter what you've been through, whether you've
mhm,
had a couple of failed relationships or whatever, there is somebody out there for you, that perfect someone. And when
mhm,
sometimes people say, "Oh, well, nobody loves me," I'm like, will you stop that nonsense? Do you know how many people are on this world who will love you, honor you, boost you up, lift you up? I tell
mhm.
people all the time, I hate to be this way, but I'm telling you, I've had relationships and it takes me about a week to get over it because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, next, you got to keep going
Next.
because you start to when you start to analyze things, why the relationship conked out, why it ended, or whatever. You start thinking
Mhm,
about it, and then again, you start saying, you say, Lord, but maybe it was meant to. Maybe there was something greater. So now there's excitement.
mhm,
There's something better coming. There's something better coming.
mhm,
So
mhm,
you might as well start thinking about that. And even if you had a job, you might have loved your job. The job conked out. You got laid off. Some people go into deep depression about this stuff. I'm like, it's a new opportunity. It's a new
mhm,
time to lean on the Lord and say, okay, Lord, man, I really needed that job. I got these bills to pay. So you must be working on something really great, right?
mhm, mhm,
That's what and to be able to start thinking about that and or there's something there. There's something there
mhm.
that's going on. So at least the Lord's, moving and kind of shaking and
Yeah,
twisting
and
and
Rodney, there's so many times where loss, and I'm not saying it's not, it's normal. It's completely
right,
human for us to
right,
not enjoy loss and
right.
feel sad about what we had and now we don't.
Mhm.
Um, Whether it's a
Mhm.
person or things or, you know,
Mhm.
but I think sometimes we're not aware of the fact
Mhm.
that for us to receive the new things God has for us, some of the
That's
old
right.
things have to be cleared out.
That's
If you've got
right.
all this stuff you're holding in your hands, but all that stuff isn't serving you anymore, and God knows it's not serving you, but you're keeping it because, oh, it was so
Mhm.
great when it was serving me. I just appreciated it so much. And I just hate to see it go. And God is like, I'm done with
Mhm.
that. And you need to be done with it too. It's not serving you now.
Yeah.
So he takes it out of our hands and we're going, oh, I wanted that. I wanted to start working again because it had been so good. And God said, no, I've got something different, something better in store for you. I had to take that away from you so I could place this in your hands.
Boy, I tell you, Lord, I tell you, I want the Lord to do some spring cleaning because I want to leave a whole lot of this stuff behind and get me something else different. Because, matter of fact, I'm in the process of potentially moving, maybe moving into
Are
Los
you?
Angeles. I'm outside of the city a little bit, but yeah, so I have an opportunity. So there may be a new place in plan. And I started thinking, Rodney, wouldn't it be great to start out just minimalist, start out very minimal and
Mhm,
only put the best of the best in? I said, and I literally started thinking, I'm like, if I left, I'm going to take that. That's not going to go. That's not. I'm tired of looking at that. That's going, and I'm going to
mhm.
donate. Hey, I'll let it bless somebody else. I'm gonna let it go. Send him
Yeah, I think Carrie's right
my
there with you.
house.
Send him to my house first, Rodney. That's
That's
what she's saying. Let him clean house at my house first.
yeah, exactly. I've got to help. Good to
Oh,
it's
and
good
yeah, we're
to
having some glitch from
start
you.
new.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go. We're back.
yeah.
I was saying sometimes, when you have things, it's good to start new. The Lord wants to
Mhm,
bless you with new stuff, so don't fight it, man.
mhm,
Let the stuff go. Bless someone else. You might have something that you really, really like. Could be a bookshelf or something
mhm,
like that. You know what?
mhm,
Hey, maybe the Lord wants to give you something, increase. And I pray the Lord to increase my territory. Lord, bless me.
mhm,
You just always have to be prepared for blessings. It isn't
mhm,
always
mhm,
doom and gloom. I'm looking forward to blessings. I'm looking forward to the Lord just moving mightily in my life. And I'm like, and I want to be
mhm.
prepared so that when it happens, you
Yeah.
don't think like, ha ha, I sure did that. I don't do that. I'm like, every time something happens, I'm like, thank you, Lord. Thank you. Thank you for that
Mhm.
opportunity. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Because you gotta
Amen.
be thankful. Mm-hmm. Gotta be
Amen.
thankful.
As Shaylee said, gratitude is important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'm excited that you're thinking about moving. You're going to have to keep us updated on that.
Yeah, I will. I will. There might be an episode of I might document it in some way and have some pictures of the process of moving and it's all but
Mhm,
that's another thing. You have to be just like we were always talking about being prepared, having a toolbox, preparing yourself for that next step
mhm,
in prayer, in focus. Hey, all that stuff is important. And that's what I'm getting ready to do. And also downsizing, getting rid of a lot of
mhm,
paperwork. I have a tendency to hold on to data, a lot of paper and stuff like that. So I'm trying to
mhm.
get better about database and stuff and get rid of all the paper and keeping
Yeah.
things. And I
Oh,
got a lot of
goodness. That's what I need to do for sure.
we all
I
do.
think, and Jacqueline, I just put that on the screen. Jacqueline had
Hmm.
mentioned, I'm a collector. Where do I start? And
Mm,
Jacqueline, I don't know if you mean that you know, professionally collect things or that that's your hobby or
mm-hmm.
whatever. But I know for me, I tend to collect things just because I don't know what to do with them. And I maybe don't want to get rid of it. There's that old mentality
Hmm.
of, oh, I might need this someday. Um,
Right.
completely forgetting that God could provide it later someday if and
Yeah.
when I needed it. So anyway, I am trying to let go of more things. And one
Right.
rule of thumb I'm really starting to use is, do I own this or does it own me?
Woo.
And if the answer comes back, yeah, it owns me because I'm actually not using it, but it's taking up valuable space that I need for something else, or it is I'm having to maintain it.
Right.
And, and yet I never get any benefit out of it. I just keep putting the energy and effort and sometimes the money into maintaining it. Then that's when I realize, okay, I need to let that go.
Well, I hope that, you know what, Nina, I hope that everything goes according to plan, and I pray the Lord to help you organize and carry, and all of us and AC, that we all improve and and take that opportunity to, we're coming into the summer months, and you know what they say, out with the old, in with the new.
Mhm.
And that's what I'm going to do that too. Cause I'm looking at, when I get into this new place, I said, you know what, Rodney, this is your opportunity to do your decor and do things the way you want, get rid of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I definitely want that. I
Yeah.
don't need this. And so hopefully,
I wanna see some before and afters on
oh
your
yeah,
Facebook page and maybe bring those here, and we'll do a whole show with the before and afters, seeing what all you've done. That'd be great.
hey, that sounds,
Yeah.
that sounds good. That sounds good.
Well, I just realized what time it is. We've actually gone a little bit over, and I apologize for that,
Oh,
everybody, but we're so glad you joined us this morning, and, um,
yeah,
I just hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, blessed in the Lord, because you already are, whether you know it or not.
that's
Rodney,
right.
you got anything you wanna say before we close out?
Everybody have a blessed week. God bless you. Keep praying. Pray for me. Pray for yourself. Pray for the world. And see you back next Monday here on the chat session. You're watching the This Way Network.
Thanks, everybody. Be of good courage. God is with us, and we are not alone. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.